Hello vinyl community, this is Mike, PC31. This is the contest entry into TKR VideoCentral, TC. This is his contest on Obscuria. He wants 10 albums mentioned in several different formats if you got them, but I'm going to stick with 12-inch vinyl. He was on just below 200 when he started the contest, 200 subs. And it was a push to get through 200, and I noticed earlier that he's on 385, so TC's absolutely smashed that now. This contest is open until August the 13th, so you've still got a little bit of time to go. Right, so 10 albums, as I say, all of mine are going to be vinyl. The backing music provided by Brian Eno, Discreet Music. Keep it down, Brian, keep it down. So the first album I'm going to show is obscure album. It's a Beatles one, and it's Sgt Pepper, because nobody else is going to have this one in the vinyl community. Well, maybe not, because it's a Singaporean press, and printed. Not sure where it was actually pressed, but it was certainly printed in Singapore, and it's quite fascinating. You'd all recognise the cover. But it's Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore. It was in that area it was actually distributed. But if you look at the actual, it's a 1970 censored version, and it's censored by those governments because of drug references. So what's been taken out is Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, Day in the Life, and With a Lot of Help from My Friends. And what's been substituted in there is I Am the Walrus, misspelt, I'm the Walrus. Fall on the Hill, and Baby You're a Rich Man. So if you look at that order of songs on side 1 and side 2, we all know this album so well, and it's just crazy to see that on Sgt Pepper. So that's the actual sleeve there. So for those 3 tracks, I Am the Walrus, Fall on the Hill, and Baby You're a Rich Man, to be associated with Sgt Pepper is just really strange if you've seen this album a million times like we all have. So that's my first one, which maybe nobody in the VC will have. My second one is not quite as famous as Sgt Pepper, but just as interesting, and that is by the mighty Shag Connor's Carrot Crunchers Sing Country Style. So this is an album from some time. What makes this doubly interesting, Shag Connor, is it's a signed copy of The Boys. And what makes it even more interesting for me personally is one of the session musicians, not band members, but one of the session musicians, I noticed when I bought this in the shop, and it was probably one of the main, well, Shag Connor's. I mean, I couldn't leave that in the shop. But the thing which kind of made it even more interesting for me was there's a chap who does session work on it, Phil Beer, fiddle, mandolin, and viola, and I've actually recorded with Phil. He's in probably the top folk duo in the UK, show of hands, and this is very, very early days. Can I see a year on it? 1977, April 77. Sweet Folklore Recordings Limited. So, Shag Connor. Has anybody got that? So my third one is, this is quite a strange competition for me, because a lot of the records I've chosen I think are really obscure, but the records I really, really like. So one side of me thinks if somebody popped up and said, oh, I've got that and I love that album, then that's kind of a good thing in a way, because I love most of these albums as well. And this is one of them, a band called Swansway from Birmingham. And this is an album they released in 1984. They're a 3-piece. It was their only full studio album. I think they were only around for about 2 years. But what first attracted me to this way back in 1984, and I bought it when it came out, the actual lead-off track on the album, which was a single, Soul Train. And Soul Train is just one of those songs you put on repeat just keep on playing it. It's such an absolutely fantastic song. But good band, short-lived, as I say, one studio album. Birmingham, 1982 they were formed, and just this one album from 1984. So Swansway, The Fugitive Kind. So my third one I thought I'd go for was a bootleg. I thought about showing a lot more bootlegs, but I picked out this one. I think it's pretty rare, but again, a lot of people in the community may have it. I just don't know. I've not come across another one before. But the boss hits the band lands, Toby Smiles, and this is from Frankfurt from April 1981. So it would have been the River Tour. This particular one, it's a double album, but it also comes with a 45 as well. That's the back of it. So you can see a lot of the songs there are from the River and before. But you've got lots of spelling mistakes. Gary Toolant instead of Gary Talent. All songs written by Toby Smiler. Nice. And Reckless Eric gets a mention on there. I don't think it's the stiff Reckless Eric somehow, but I may be surprised. And just to look at the actual label on these ones, it's a German bootleg as well, recorded in Frankfurt 81, but it's also a German pressed bootleg. Side 1, Raven, Toby Smiles, there we are. And double album, and it came with a single, a white label single. Came with that. It says it's limited to 1,500 to 1,500 pressings, but it's a bootleg. Is that true? I don't know. Certainly not seen another one around. Next one I wanted to show was, get back in there, Shag. I've shown you. Next one is again one of my favourites, post-punk heroes, Adrian Borland and The Sound, who I've mentioned before. But this is pre The Sound, and it's a band called Second Layer, and this album's called World of Rubber. And so on this particular one, this was Graham Bailey, who played a lot of instruments on this one actually, but he was in The Sound, one of the founder members. But Adrian Borland, that's as I say, the guy I really follow. But post-punk, Second Layer were around 79, 81, and then obviously they then turned into The Sound, who are fantastic. This is actually, it was originally released 81 on Cherry Red, and this was the only full studio album they made. But this is actually a re-release from 2015 from memory. 2015 on Dark Entries Records, Second Layer. So the next one I was going to show you, and again this is the band I really like. This was their only album from Evesham in Worcestershire in UK, originally called Satan's Rats, but they then turned into The Photos. And this is, as I say, their one and only album. Rob Walker may have this, Richard McCook may well have this. I can think of a few people in the vinyl community, but you don't come across it very much. But great album, really enjoy it. Photos were around 79 to 83. Yeah, good album. They did apparently make another album, but it came out as a promo, but it was stopped before it went into production. So this is their only studio album which actually came out. Next one, kind of quite a similar band actually, and this is also their only album from 1981 on the Virgin label. Holly Beth Vincent is the lead singer. It's Holly and the Italians. And again, this really could be Richard McCook, Rob Walker's territory again, but I don't know. You don't see it out in the wild. I haven't seen it for a long, long time. I bought this at the time. I think there was about 5 or 6 singles came off this album on Virgin. There we are. Label there. Just get it out for a second. Haven't played this for quite a long time. That's a great thing about these contests and threads, that you find yourself going back into your collection and pulling things that you haven't played for a long time. Yeah, all the songs written by, most of the songs are written by Holly Vincent. But yeah, okay, that's good. Next one, 3 to go. So, Gang of Four. There we are, the Gang of Four. And Gang of Four, very popular in the vinyl community. I used to I still really like the Gang of Four, and I've got virtually all their albums. But I was particularly fond of Andy Gill, who was the lead guitarist and a really had his own style of playing guitar. Really fantastic guitarist. I liked him from way back in the 80s. This is their last album to date, and unfortunately Andy Gill passed away from COVID complications. They released this album, have I made a note there? They released this album in 2019, Happy Now, and toured various places in the world. Went to China, and he caught COVID very early on, and he died February 2020, unfortunately. This copy, the reason why I think this is an obscure one is because it's signed by all the band, and Andy Gill's signature is there. And as I say, he's a long-time guitaring hero of mine, so it's a good album. Gang of Four have actually reformed, and Gang of Four have had Gail Ann Dorsey, who played with Bowie. She played for him for a while. Sarah Lee, who played with the B-52s and various others. League of Gentlemen. But Sarah Lee, I think, has actually rejoined the band. John King, the original vocalist. Hugh Burnham, the original drummer, is with them. So they've actually got back together again. So this is the last album to date. Next one. This is again another incarnation of Adrian Borland, the post-punk guy I was talking about earlier. And after the sound split up, he had several projects, and one of them was a band who made 3 albums, and they're called the Honolulu Mountain Daffodils. And this album is called Guitars of the Oceanic Undergrowth. They've all got fantastic names. This is their debut album, 79, I think it was. Did I scroll that down? Sorry, 87. Of course it was. This was a particular album which Adrian Bourne was quite fond of. He had a pseudonym. All the band had pseudonyms. His name was Joachim Pimento. One track on here, you've got a Pierre Ubers track, Final Solution. They've covered on this one. But Honolulu Mountain Daffodils, a real cult band. It's fantastic stuff. I mean, it's really edgy guitars, great drums. I mean, it's a terrific album, actually. Very, very culty, very post-punk, alternate, alt-rock, fantastic. Really good album. The other thing about them as well, to show what kind of band they were like, just on the edge, is that this cover, it's original from 1987, but and it's in perfect condition, but they wanted all their covers to look as if they'd been in a charity shop window in the blazing sunlight, so completely faded. So this is what they come out like in the first place. Right, my last album, TC, as I say, all vinyl, is I Live on the South Coast of England, and this is a compilation which came out of a studio on the South Coast of England in 1983. And the album's called Spit and Finish, and it has a lot of kind of some of the bigger local bands at the time, which were around in the early 80s, on lovely, sumptuous red vinyl. And very fond of this album because I'm on it. Anyway, that's my 10 TC for your great competition. Okay, thanks folks.